Stanford Jefferson girls in the Final Four championships. Chicken plant application withdrawn. Roxbury constable is back on the job. These are the stories making headlines this week. Welcome to Catskills Air. I'm Jessica Murphy with your latest local news. Joining me now is Matt Avitable, editor and publisher of the Mountain Eagle and Catskills Chronicle. Welcome, Matt.
Thanks for having me.
Let's get right to the news. We talked about the constable being placed on leave last week, and then in a sudden turnaround, the town council reinstated Steve Williamson to the job he's held for decades. This week, a new development arose. Matt, Steve is back on the job, but not for long. Can you explain?
The decision was unanimous after dozens of people spoke at the last meeting, signaling their support for Steve Williamson. He's being restricted to a 40-hour-a-week job. He's not going to be 24/7 like he has been, and he's going to retire July 15th.
All right. Well, the chicken processing plant proposed for Stanford is back in the news this week, but it isn't good news for the Cluckers. Matt, why was the application withdrawn?
Not a lot of explanation was given, but Code Enforcer Rich Irwin said that the application has been withdrawn.
And also the Stanford code officer resigned. Is that correct?
That's right. Same one. Rich Irwin is resigning. We're looking into more information about why he is the code enforcer of several municipalities. We'll see if it's a retirement or if there's any more to the story.
Conversion of the Delaware Inn to a rehab center drew a standing room only crowd at the recent Stanford public meeting. Matt, what's the consensus on this?
There were a lot of people saying that substance abuse treatment should happen, but there's a lot of questions about a potential facility in Stanford. A number of speakers said it's a good idea, not sure whether or not the former Delaware Inn, which recently was a veterans care facility, should be the location. Lots of comments in the paper. I'll let them speak for themselves on the cover by our own Liz pages this week.
Catskills Air mentioned this briefly last week. There's an advisory for Adirondack and Catskills backcountry. Matt, the weather is typical spring here in the Catskills, snow, rain, frost, mud, everything pretty much. So what are the current conditions for hiking our mountains?
Some of the regular trails, they're open, but the DEC said that you should have some precautions on some of the backcountry areas. There's been a number of what the DEC calls intense, severe, and dynamic conditions. Some of the navigable trails have additional hazard. There's compacted snow. There's potential snow slides. There's areas that are very muddy. So just in case, be careful. There's also more information on the DEC's Hike Smart website.
Well, the state budget is nearly approved, and with that, local forests, visitor centers, and field guides are gaining needed support. Matt, explain why this is important to our area and the Catskill Center.
There are bills in both the Senate and the Assembly that are going to build on the governor's budget to include critical funding for the Catskill Park as well as the Adirondack and Catskill Forest Preserves. The Catskill Center welcomed these changes, saying that they were excited and deeply grateful for the bill. There's going to be a potential $1 million directed to visitor centers serving the Catskills and Adirondacks, including a potential $250,000 for the Catskills Visitor Center, and much more in this week's paper.
In a closed meeting, the Stanford Town Council adopted a law to control noise. Matt, we've discussed this one before, so what's the verdict?
We wound up having a relatively quiet meeting about noise. We saw a couple of people saying that the situation was a bad situation because some neighbors couldn't respect others' needs. With that, the hearing then was closed, and later in the meeting, board members unanimously approved this law. Part of the reason is that local law enforcement could not enforce sound ordinances without a law.
Also in Stanford, with no candidates on the ballot, one man won a seat on the village board. Matt, who is it?
That's right. Clifford Roxburgh Curley wound up winning a seat. He got 33 write-in votes. You're right, no candidates on the ballot. There were 49 total write-ins, and he carried the majority of them.
In a more controversial election over in Fleischmann's on March 18th, 2 village trustee seats were open for election. Only one candidate was on the ballot, but 2 incumbents were re-elected by write-in votes. However, many residents were not even aware of the election, and there were reports of voters being turned away due to equipment problems. Catskills Air will bring you further development as this news comes in. Homeschooling has grown throughout New York State. In Margaretville, the number of stay-at-home students has pretty much stayed the same, though. Matt, what are the trends and what support is MCS offering to these children?
There are currently 29 students from 18 different families in the district that are homeschooled. During the 2022-2023 school year, there were 32 students from 19 families. So with that, the school announced that there's a number of supports available at the district. The district said that their doors remain open to homeschool students who may enroll or re-enroll at the district. They also may have other academic supports at the district, and it said that it will continue to prioritize strong academic supportive relationships and meaningful opportunities that support students for college.
MCS also received a literacy grant for a new project called Windows and Mirrors. Matt, what's this about?
$2,000 is coming to the district from the A. Lindsay and Olive B. O'Connor Foundation to support Windows and Mirrors, using diverse literature to reflect students' backgrounds and introduce new perspectives. This was led by English teacher and curriculum specialist Amanda Wells. The initiative will create what's called a diverse voices collection of contemporary fiction, nonfiction, novels in verse, graphic novels, and short story anthologies written by authors from underrepresented communities, and will be used throughout the English language arts program.
Also at MCS, the board welcomed 2 student members for the coming year. Who are they and what will they be doing?
We wound up seeing something that we've talked about in the past come to fruition. Lillian Benchoden and Mackenzie Hubble were both appointed to serve as the district's ex officio student board members throughout the 2026 and 2027 school year. They're starting a 3-month transition period working alongside current student board representative Alani Mendez to represent student interests at the district.
A number of people attended a recent Watershed Agricultural Council roundtable in Hamden. Matt, can you summarize Mary's article in the paper?
More than 25 people attended this WAC easement roundtable on March 13th. They wound up hearing about the program regarding conservation easements. The WAC also talked about the mission to promote economic viability of agriculture and forestry. There's more information in the paper this week. The WAC currently protects more than 33,000 acres and 180 easements.
And over in Courtright, reporter Liz Page writes that the town board spent a bit of time weeding through highway department plans, including mowing. Can you tell us what was decided?
Highway material bids were awarded to 4 different bidders, including Heidelberg, M&M, Gerster, Seward, Sand, and Gravel. And next year, the town is going to produce a spreadsheet to make this process easier. They also wound up finding out that the mowing bids were too difficult to figure out who the lowest bidder was, and they wound up seeing an update about the Bloomville Pride plans for this year, and there's more plans about the Memorial Day community picnic on Memorial Day.
Local law enforcement was busy. Delco Court ruled on an appeal of a 20-year sentence in a child abuse case.
The New York State Supreme Court affirmed the conviction of Joshua Condon, who received a 20-year sentence after this appeal. He appeared in Delaware County Court in 2023 to be sentenced on a conviction of criminal sexual act in the first degree, which is a Class B felony, and was a result of molesting an 8-year-old child. At the sentencing, the judge, Michael Getman, sentenced him to 20 years to be followed by 10 years of post-release supervision. Condon appealed the decision, but ultimately was shot down by the state court.
A sentence was handed down in a domestic assault involving an illegal gun.
Connor Steedle, 21, of South Carolina, pleaded guilty to attempted criminal possession of a weapon in the second degree, which is a Class D violent felony, and wound up receiving a 3-year sentence in state prison, followed by 3 years of post-release supervision. On December 12th of last year, there was a 911 call. Caller reported that her boyfriend had threatened her while brandishing a local pistol, and with that, officers responded, confronted the armed defendant, and ultimately took him into custody without anyone being harmed.
A Delaware County grand jury handed down a 4-count indictment against a Bainbridge man.
William Wheel, aged 36, was indicted. This is a 4-count indictment returned on March 12th. First one alleges that he committed a Class E felony of aggravated driving while intoxicated. There are multiple other ones stemming from an incident on January 22nd in the village of Delhi. This comes after he had been previously convicted of the crime of driving while intoxicated within the last 10 years.
A Hamden woman was arrested for DWI following an accident.
This one took place on February 19th around noon. Sheriff's deputies were dispatched to a one-car motor vehicle accident in the area of the New York State DOT and Delaware County Solid Waste Management Facility in Walton. After an investigation, they identified 37-year-old Christina LaRusso of Hamden, who had been traveling in a northerly direction. Sheriff's deputies arrested her and charged her with driving while intoxicated and was issued a traffic summons for moving from lane unsafely.
And lastly, a Courtright man was arrested for child abuse.
On March 9th, Sheriff's deputies and Delaware County Child Protective Services received a referral regarding an alleged domestic abuse allegation. After further investigation, it was determined that a physical domestic incident had occurred on March 8th that was never reported to police, and that during the incident, multiple children in the residence were involved in a verbal and physical altercation with an adult. After this, they arrested 42-year-old Brian Fenton of Courtright for assault in the third degree, criminal obstruction of breathing, and 2 counts of endangering the welfare of a child, which are all Class A misdemeanors.
There were also several traffic and vehicle arrests last week. Check out the paper for more on these stories. A new book, Peter Pan in the Catskills, has just come out from a local publisher. Matt, tell us about this collection of essays.
Absolutely. This one comes from one of the best friends of the newspaper, Bill Burns. We'll be reporting more on this in the future. Purple Mountain Press, which has gone through an impressive revival, announced the publication of Peter Pan in the Catskills. It includes a number of historic essays that were in Tri-County Historical Views. We wind up seeing an introduction from Bill Burns. There's a number of recent stories in here about local Catskills history. Very happy that this one is coming out. This one is supported by local philanthropist Nick Juriad and supported by a number of local authors, including the editor emeritus of this paper, Carolyn Bennett.
Reporter Lorcan Otway has a really interesting article about land, rebellion, and whiskey. And he took his tale around Union Grove Brewstillery in Arkville. Give us the rundown.
We talked about several of these elements in the last year, especially with the Calico Rebellion, the anti-rent war. We wind up seeing this really nice connection with Union Grove. Lorcan wrote about what he called the social lubrication breaking down and the conservative nature of human beings releasing creativity and experimentation that led to modernity. So with that, he talked about the brewing process, he talked about some of the history of it, and he wound up tying in this local angle that makes this worthy of the front page. A lot of credit and some nice photos on the cover of this week's paper.
And as we said last week, maple season is here. The 2026 season kicked off last weekend, actually. And over at Tree Juice Maple Syrup, they were busy. Tell us about that, Matt.
Everyone seemed to be out for maple this weekend. We had 2 really nice articles talking about some of the local options. Jenny Neal also focused on Tree Juice Maple Syrup. They had a really good season this year. I hope you had a chance to make it. And just in case you missed Maple Weekend, that's okay. Still plenty of time to get some of that delicious syrup.
Yes, and there's lots more coming up this weekend. So can you tell everyone where they can get in on the pancakes and more with their syrup?
There's a lot going on. We have a long list of different maple experiences. If you want to have pancakes, if you want to get syrup, if you want to get candy, a lot of stuff in this week's paper. Check it out. We still have plenty of time to get some of that great maple product.
Well, Matt, thanks so much. For more on these and other articles, pick up the Mountain Eagle or Catskills Chronicle. But before you go, how about a little look at what's coming up next week?
We have an update coming up on the county. We're also going to be talking about some of the issues going on in Stamford and Hobart. We're going to continue our Hobart business profiles and more about the community's growth.
Well, thanks for keeping us all up to date. Matt, I hope you go get some maple syrup this weekend, and we will see you next week.
Sounds like a plan.
And now it's time to talk sports. Here's John with the exciting details on the Stanford Jefferson girls basketball team.
It's a cold, hard fact of basketball life. Every successful high school basketball team that earns a ticket to the postseason in every class, A, B, C, D, and so on, will end their season in disappointment, end their season with a loss. Every team but one. That one, a New York State champion. For the Stanford Jefferson girls basketball squad, the magic would evaporate yesterday when SJ fell in the Class D state semifinals, 73-57 to Batavia Notre Dame from Section 5. Batavia Notre Dame was able to do something no other team facing SJ this season could do: slow down McKenna Hoyt. For the first time in 25 contests, Hoyt failed to reach double figures, scoring 8 points. With the Notre Dame defense keying on Hoyt, SJ found plenty of offense from other places. Tierney Turner leading the way with 26 points. Emily Eklund found the mark 5 times from behind the three-point arc, scoring 15 points. It was not the SJ offense that was the culprit in their final game of the season. It was SJ's defense surrendering the highest point total of the season that proved to be their undoing. Stanford Jefferson had reached the state quarterfinals, downing Copenhagen 56-46 in the regional round. The Section 4 champs built that effort around one of Hoyt's most complete efforts of the season, the SJ star scoring 24 points and pulling down 22 rebounds. Tierney Turner, too, added critical support, netting 19 points. SJ finished their historic season with 22 wins against 3 losses on the year. As I speak, the gals from Delhi Academy are fighting for their basketball lives, hoping to keep their season alive as they battle Flusburg, the Section 6 Class C champions. Delhi earned their ticket to the state Final Four with a 58-48 victory over West Canada Valley in the regional round. As they have all season, the Bulldogs depended on stingy defense and balanced scoring to keep their state title hopes alive. Freshman Danielle Ennis paved the way offensively for the Bulldogs, netting a team-high 21 points. Lexi Davis tallied 7 points, Leah Young 6, and Jalen Prisco 5 more, every point critical to the Bulldogs' winning effort. In other local sports, Margaretville senior Livia Frankowiak will be taking her soccer game to Herkimer College next fall. Damon Nish, the head coach at Herkimer, visited Margaretville, with Livia signing a letter of intent to play at Herkimer and receiving a general's uniform. A 3-sport athlete, Livia played soccer, basketball, and softball at Margaretville and was a team captain in all 3 sports. Livia will graduate in June with a Regents diploma and has served as her class president for the past 3 years. Congratulations, Livia, and good luck playing for the Generals. That's our sports report for this week.
Now Elizabeth has the latest in arts and entertainment events.
We've got all kinds of wonderful events coming up, and here's just a few of them. The Delaware County School of Performing Arts, celebrating its 3rd season, Garth Kravitz and Julia Rugg will be presenting their summer workshop. It begins in July, 8 to 18 of the ages. It's a 4-week camp, 9 to 3. You'll be able to learn all the ins and outs of the performing arts theater, from choreography to music to playwright to creating the backgrounds. A wonderful place. If you've never experienced anything like this, it's a wonderful chance. You don't want to miss it. Do it. Get your kids into it. Get your kids involved. Get them out there. A wonderful workshop. You can't miss it. The Historical Society of Conesville, celebrating America's 250th birthday, has an open call art and writing contest celebrating our survival of 250 years. Pre-K to adult. There's no age limit, but everybody will be judged according to their age group. You don't have to live in Conesville. Just reflect Delaware, Schoharie, Greene County. You can do 4 different ways: essays, poems, visual arts, photography. All of those things have to reflect a certain ambiance, the natural beauty, history, heroes, or pride. Those are the four kind of subject matters that you can use to create your essay, your photography, or your piece of artwork. The deadline is June 15th. You can go online and check out more information and also find the submission forms to get your work in there. So another opportunity to express your love of where we are. It's really easy to do that. So you might want to check that art and writing contest out. Next, Roxbury Arts Group is presenting at the Headwaters Art Center in Stamford. April 11th, needle felting with Elizabeth Yates. All the tools and materials are provided. Wonderful little, it's not little, but it's a wonderful meditative form of art. If you've never done felting or worked with fiber, this is a great introduction to that kind of expression. The tactile experience of it in your hands and the feel of the texture is a wonderful thing to energize your passion for expression and creativity. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time on Focus on the Arts.
Thanks, Elizabeth. The state's program 25 million trees by 2033 got a big boost last week. The DEC plans to hand out more than $46 million in grants. This money will help tree nurseries, seed collections, private forest landowners, wood processors, and other forest product producers. To learn more, visit the DEC's website. A quick reminder that the statewide burn ban is now in effect through May 16th. Open burning is the single greatest cause of spring wildfires, so check out the DEC Firewise New York webpage for more info. Will there be winds and rain in our future? Let's see what's ahead.
Heidi-ho, Catskill Mountain friends and neighbors, it's Lori with CatskillsAir, bringing you your weekly weather update for the beautiful, pristine, so highly wacky and unpredictable weather, Catskill Mountain region. And it's unpredictable everywhere in the country, everywhere in the world. And it looks like for us in the Catskill Mountain region, we're going to start off very chilly and those temperatures will rise throughout the week. However, don't put away those winter fabrics just yet because Mother Nature's going to flip that switch and we're going to get cold again. So let's give it a go and check out what's happening in the Catskill High Peaks for this weekend in weather. On Monday, we can expect overcast skies with snow flurries and snow showers throughout the day. Temperatures are going to be in the mid-30s with winds out of the north-northwest at 10 to 20. Overnight, we have cloudy skies turning to partly cloudy skies after midnight. Chilly. Temperatures are going to dip back to the mid to low 20s. Winds out of the north-northwest at 10 to 15. On Tuesday, we have generally sunny skies. Despite a few afternoon clouds, temperatures are on the rise to the low 40s, winds out of the west-northwest at 5 to 10. Overnight, we have overcast skies, chilly feel to the air. Temperatures are going to dip back to the mid to upper 20s, winds out of the west-southwest at 5 to 10. On Wednesday, we have mostly cloudy skies, warmer temperatures, the chance of a peak of sunshine throughout the day. Temperatures are going to be in the upper 40s, winds breezy out of the southwest at 10 to 15. Overnight, we have mostly cloudy skies with a mix of rain and snow showers developing late in the evening and overnight hours. Temperatures are going to dip back to the mid-30s, winds out of the south-southwest at 5 to 10. On Thursday, we have cloudy skies, very breezy. Winds are going to be out of the southwest at 10 to 15 with those temperatures on the rise to the upper 50s. Overnight, we have rain likely, a possible mix after midnight. Temps are going to dip back to the mid to low 30s, winds gusting out of the southwest at 10 to 15. And on Friday, we have mostly cloudy skies with the chance of a stray peak of sunshine. Temperatures are going to dip back to the mid to upper 30s during the daytime hours. Winds are going to gust out of the northwest at 10 to 20. And overnight, we have a few passing clouds, very cold, very crisp. Those temperatures are going to dip back to the teens, the mid to upper teens, with winds gusting out of the northwest at 10 to 15. As I bid you farewell, remember that weather and temperature changes on a dime, especially in the beautiful Cats. Be sure to join me for your weekend weather update because you're going to need those thermals this weekend. See you then from somewhere in the Cats.
That's it for CatskillsAir News. If you see something out there, let us know. I'm Jessica Murphy. Bye for now.